You guys see this yellow piece of plastic here? I can still move the gimbal up and down, but there's a little friction on it. The friction that's on it now is enough to stop the wind from moving it or changing it when you're diving down. It's even enough if you hit like a small leaf on a tree, anything light, there's enough friction now that that will not move the camera anymore. I mean, there's also the plastic around it, right? So even if a little leaf hits it here, the angle will still the same. The other thing that this piece of plastic does is when you start the Neo, it's always going to try, when you start the Neo, it will start in normal mode, right? It's always going to try and move the camera up and down. Because of the friction, there's going to be more resistance on the motor. As soon as the Neo detects any resistance on the motor, it stops trying to move the motor and it will give you an error that says gimbal overloaded. Now, you can completely ignore that error. You can fly, you can do anything you want to. Of course, when you're in normal or in sport mode, you won't be able to move the camera up and down anymore. So this is only for manual mode. And of course, if you if you take off like this, you're gonna crash. Can't fix that anymore. So you have to set your angle. It still shows what your angle is. Like after you start everything, before you start flying, you can just move it up, and you will see in your OSD what degree you're at, like 0 degree, 15, etc., etc. And so this is a dirty little hack for people that fly a lot in manual mode, that want to dive straight down, that want to fly with a lot of wind, and that want to race and like once in a while hit something without that stupid gimbal starting to reset. Because if you do not do this, and there is too much movement on the gimbal, from the wind or from diving or from whatever, it will trigger a gimbal reset on both the Neo 1 and the Neo 2. Even while you are flying in manual mode, DJI is like, okay, enough, we're going to reset the gimbal. This is what happens. You don't want it, but it will move the gimbal 60% down, and then it will try to move the gimbal all the way up, and then it will try to move the gimbal to the middle. If you're flying in manual mode while that is happening, you might be able to save it while it's looking down if you're really good. But I can 100% assure you, once that camera is straight up, you cannot see the ground. It is going to be absolutely impossible to save your Neo. You are 100% guaranteed to crash, because while it's doing all of that, you're going to start falling out of the sky. Now there's going to be drag on the camera. It's going to start moving the gimbal around, and the reset will fail, and it will try to do the reset again. So the only thing you can do then is press brake or flip into normal mode and hope that you have enough GPS lock for it, to balance itself out. If you don't have a good GPS lock, you're still going to crash. If you do have a GPS lock, then it will balance itself out. It will stop moving, and then you can just wait until it completes the gimbal reset, and then you can go back into manual mode and continue flying. I've saved it hundreds of times where I was just stuck like that. Even bringing it back in normal mode like this is extremely tricky because you can't see anything. Like I had my gimbal stuck like this. I was flying almost completely blind. Like I'd slowly go down until I started seeing the top of a tree. And then I just like hit the ground somewhere, and I went to find it. Anyway, I'm rambling enough now. But yeah, if you do crazy stuff with the Neo and you fly in manual mode and you do a lot of diving, then you have had this problem. 100% guaranteed when the stupid gimbal moves when you don't want it to. Even beyond that, if you're flying in against the wind, the Neo is gonna bop like this. Even in manual mode, the gimbal automatically goes up and down to compensate for this. When you dive down and the Neo is bobbing, the gimbal automatically starts compensating for this. The software will move it up and down to make it more pleasant for you to fly. It is more pleasant to fly against the wind when the gimbal is doing that. Yes, it will take the bobbing out of it, but it makes it harder to control. So you have to dive slower and slower with the Neo because it compensates for the bobbing. If you lock the gimbal in place, then it will be less comfortable to fly. While you're flying against the wind, while you're flying, you're going to see that bobbing go up and down. That's not so pleasant, but you have more control over it. That's the payoff. Okay, Caniac out. I've seen so many posts on Reddit and Facebook from people that keep crashing their Neo. There was this guy, he flew over the water, he lost it in the water because the stupid gimbal reset mid-flight. So if you've had that happen and you went out and bought a second Neo and you absolutely never want this to happen anymore, you find a little tin piece of plastic. I broke this off from a toy somewhere. You find something that fits in between there that you can really jam in there that will not fall out while you're flying it. You have to cut it with a knife, or you can use like a lighter to melt it a little bit. I mean, just a piece of plastic, right? Don't melt the camera, but find a piece of plastic on the right or the left side, maybe even both if you really wanted to do it, until it's securely jammed in there and it causes just enough friction that the software will stop trying to move the camera completely. Okay, there you go, guys. A tip from Caniac for all you crazy Neo flyers out there. Caniac out.